Okay, so let's go over the proposed calendar for the year and schedule of events. This is by no means set in stone. New events could pop up that we don't know about. Other obligations could come up, and we can change these to better fit the schedule of the group. But here is a proposed schedule that can pretty much fit any of the youth groups, no matter where you are. So, of course, August is when the school year starts. At least it's supposed to. My kids are going back July 31st, which is really weird, but August is when school starts, and it's also Black Business Month. So in August, we do not have a regular meeting. And just to let you know about the color coding that you see here, so anything that is in blue is something that happens digitally, like on Zoom. Like all these micro sessions are Zoom. That's why they're blue. This New Year group or New Youth group outreach, it's a text message campaign and a social media campaign to advertise and make awareness the fact that in September our meetings are happening. So these are digital things that are happening. These things that you see are in this bright fuchsia or hot pink. Those are actually programs. So it starts around this time, but it's a program that goes on over time. And you'll see two hot pink items in the sheet. Anything that is yellow, these are items that are tabling events where we're going to go out and we're going to table, or they're away from our home location. So that means we have to either travel there or drive there and table there. It's not at the regular meeting location. And then anything that's the normal white is because it's at our regular meeting location. And then you'll also occasionally see some orange in the sheet. And the orange indicates that we're having a quarterly AZ Youth and College meetup. As I mentioned, we want all of our divisions to meet quarterly and for each of the branches or units to get together with the ones that are closest to them in their area and host the quarterly meetup for that quarter. So let's start at the beginning of the sheet with August being the start of school, Black Business Month. We do new group or new youth group outreach in August. It's just a lot of advertising, a lot of text messages, a lot of social media to gain awareness for the group. And then is coming soon, we have our competency based college assistance program. I've been talking to the people at the state level for the NAACP about this and how we can implement it. More information coming soon on that. Micro sessions on how to succeed at school and ethically using modern resources. Um, they tell you not to use all this technology that's available, but we want to teach our young people how to embrace technology and how to use it ethically. It's Black Business Month, so being a part of the Black Business Expo and having some tabling events there for in the youth section. That's August. Now September is Civic Engagement Month, so that's when we're going to start getting civically engaged by meeting with our youth in our civics program, which this is a civics program. So there's an open house, and the theme of that is We the Youth. That's the theme of our youth groups. The micro session, another micro session of learning Robert's Rules of Order. That's the way that we conduct our meetings and the rules and regulations that we use to conduct our meetings. So there will be a micro session to better understand that. That will further aid and support the training that already exists. There's also a micro session on the bylaws video and quiz, that training to better aid you in understanding the bylaws and the retention quiz that goes along with it. And then, of course, we're going to have our regular monthly September meeting. How do we increase our civic engagement efforts will be the discussion topic of our regular monthly meeting. And then in October, let's move on down. In October, which is Youth Justice Awareness Month, we're going to do our regular meeting and discussion topic might be how do we better advocate for justice within the juvenile judicial system. Of course, they could pick a different topic, but some topic focused around Youth Justice Awareness Month. The micro session for AXO planning to start identifying what needs to happen in order to prepare for AXO. So there's a solution development strategy that I love that was taught to me by my dad, because a lot of people are really good at identifying what they'll need to do. Like, oh, I really want to do this or be this or do that. And there are a lot of people are really good at even maybe breaking out a sheet of paper and organizing how to do that that. Where we fail the most is the prioritizing, taking that information and then prioritizing it, and then actually implementing it. So we have a year, 8 month strategy of identifying, organizing, prioritizing, and then implementing so that we can make sure we're on track for AXO. So we have our first micro AXO planning session. And then another good time to increase your membership is Halloween. Any events that focus around kids, Halloween, Christmas, Juneteenth, where there's a lot of youth out, any events where you know a lot of kids are going to be there, and a lot of minorities, people of color, and advocates of those groups. When they're going to be around, you want to be tabling at those events, and Halloween is one of those. So in November, National Homeless Awareness Month. That's a the meeting discussion that we're going to have our meeting. The discussion there is how can we help end homelessness. The micro session is another AXO planning organized session, and then the local homeless out the tabling event. Would be a local homeless outreach event, which at that same time we should do our quarterly AZ Youth and College meetup. What better way to meet up, have a meeting and socialize, and then do something that's going to help the homeless. And so in December, and that's also Thanksgiving time. You know, that's that month. It's cooling down. It's fall. It's a really good time to have a help the homeless event. Talk about how to end homelessness, and then back that up with some action, and then let that be the existence of our quarterly youth and college meetup. And then in December is Cultural Awareness Month and Universal Human Rights Month. So tying those two things in together, when we have our meeting, the discussion question could be something like understanding cultures within our culture, because there are cultures within our culture, and then the diaspora, how that relates to the diaspora, and the universal human rights therein. So using that type of question, and even using our technology like ChatGPT or other technologies that are similar to dive and maybe identify some lower level discovery questions to help answer that question, to help identify the topics that are there, just understanding our cultures that are within our cultures, the diaspora, how it relates to that, and universal human rights. We have another AXO micro planning session. And then, of course, because it's the holidays, it's December, that's where all the kids are out. You got a table at some local events around the city. Your city, the city next to you, or the city next to that city is going to have a local event. One of those three. One of them are going to have a local event. You want to participate at that local holiday event, where they're going to have vendors out. They're going to have, activities, fun stuff for the kids. You want to table there and have your youth there with their sign up sheets, collecting names and phone numbers for people that are interested in your newsletter. Because once you have their name and phone number, you can advertise to them all through the year. You can text them all the time with the auto texter that we'll talk about in a later training. Now, moving right along to January. January is goal setting and understanding resolutions. So we have a micro session happening in January where we do our AFR submission. That's the annual financial report. It's been said for a long time that Arizona and our youth groups have not been compliant all over documentation. All over an annual financial report. So let's jump into a Zoom, let's jump into a meeting and do it together and make sure they all get submitted, so that we are compliant and we have all the delegates that we need to have so that we are represented well at the national level. This is also a good time to have a vision board party. It's January, goal setting, understanding resolutions. I'm going to also host a micro workshop on Zoom for a resolutions workshop, and that's a little different than New Year's resolutions. This is resolutions as it applies to the NAACP. At the convention, I got to learn a lot about how resolutions work and the resolutions that the NAACP focuses on. So we'll do a little micro session on resolutions as they pertain to the NAACP. We also have a micro session scheduled for the AXO implementing portion, of actually implementing the art or the entrepreneurship or the song, the dance, the cooking, whatever it is that your skill is or that your youth skills are, making sure that they're implementing those skills and documenting them in a way to where we could submit them to the AXO program nationally. And then, of course, we'll have our monthly meeting in January where the discussion topic is how can we achieve our short term goals and using the IOPI process to identify, organize, prioritize, and implement to achieve our short term goals. Also, you're going to start to see some green in this sheet. Now, these things highlighted in green are convention planning. We started last year planning for the convention around the end of April, and we got our first interested people parties in May. It was too late. We now know we need to start planning for the convention sooner. We need to talk about it a lot sooner. We need to set expectations sooner. We need to start putting together plans for here's how much the convention is going to cost. Here's how you pay for it. People can start paying towards that in January. Aside from the people that may get sponsored by National to Go if they're delegates of some sort, but we want to make sure that we start talking about setting expectations and planning for the convention as early as January. So February, of course, is Black History Month. We do have a micro session for AXO planning. We have a quarterly AZ youth and college meetup in February, which is a great time to do it during Black History Month. Of course, all of us want to participate in our local city Black History Month events to table. That's another good time for membership. At the Black History Month events, that's where you're going to have a lot of parents and a lot of youth. You want to be out there with your youth with clipboards, collecting names and phone numbers, or with an iPad or tablet of some sort with a Google form, collecting names and phone numbers. We are only as good as our list. We can only reach out to people that we are connected to. So that's through social media and through their cell phones. There was a study done on how the low rates of emailing, how people are just not opening emails the same way that they used to, especially our youth. Our youth are not opening their emails as much as they're staring at their phone and opening their text messages. So it's important that we're collecting phone numbers. So, and then for Black History Month, we have a meeting and discussion. And Black history usually goes to into history, and to some degree we can absolutely do that. But we also want to talk about the history that we are making. We want to create the history that we want people to see in the future. And if we are empowering the future now, the question is, what will they say about us? What will the future say about us? We're going to plan our legacy now, and we're going to be intentional about the moves that we make and the moves that we help our youth make so that we are building our history right now. And then also in that meeting, we can talk convention planning. And then there's March. March is Youth Art Month. We have some youth that are going to take on art as a part of their AXO, and then some that want to just participate in art in general. We do have a partnership with a lady that owns a company that brings art out to the youth, provides the supplies, and we can do two different art sessions where our youth from around the valley come out and utilize her expertise and her resources so that they can create either their art for the AXO convention or just art, have some fun together and do art in general. We also have another micro session for AXO planning to finalize our AXO plan, to finalize the plan. Anybody that's been taking on, working on their art, their entrepreneurship, their cooking, whatever they're doing to showcase their dance, their singing, whatever they're doing, and however they're going to showcase their talents in art. At this time in March, we should be finalizing our plan and finalizing our submissions for AXO. We actually want to do that towards the end of the month after we have art session 1 and 2. So, and then of course we'll have our regular monthly meeting, fourth Saturday. We will talk about, because it's Youth Art Month, we'll talk about young artists and the impact and influence that they've had. And then we'll do a little convention planning. And this is a really, really good time, since by this time, if we had our a micro session for AFRs in January, all AFRs should be done and completed and paid for by February, which means we should know and have received emails on selecting our delegates. So by March, we should all be selecting our delegates by that time. And if we could do it sooner, by February, great. But at the very latest, by March, we should be going through our convention planning and selecting and doing our voting for our delegates. In April, Financial Literacy Month, we have a micro session with Smart Money, with the FDIC certificate program for youth, to do this little animated program where they learn about how to be fiscally and financially responsible. And then we'll have another micro session for financial life planning. Also in April is the annual Teen Self Love Conference that we typically do for any youth that's in the Valley. You want to sign up for the Teen Self Love Conference. And then, of course, we'll have our regular meeting and discussion. And that discussion will be, and we'll have a really amazing speaker for that, but it will be breaking the financial generational curse. That will be the discussion that we'll have, and we'll do some level of convention planning. Now in May, convention is in July. So I'll go backwards on this one. In May, we should be finalizing our convention plans. We should be finalizing our convention plans in May, at that monthly meeting. And since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, that discussion topic is how do we recognize mental health issues and how to get help. That's that discussion topic in May. We'll do some level of finalizing for the convention plans that we have. There is a mental health town hall that happens in May that we can participate in, and there's a lot of mental health events that happen around the valley and around Arizona, depending on where you are. Also, this will be a good time for us to do a quarterly meetup. We can make our quarterly meetup and we can do it based around the mental health event that we go to, or we can do it separate. It can be up to you guys and the youth. And then I also have two micro sessions that I'm going to host. One micro session that goes over and covers the Civics All Summer Work Program. That's where our youth at that time, if they're planning on being a part of that program, if they've signed up, if they've submitted their applications and they're planning on doing the summer work program, they must join that micro session so that they can understand what's required of them and what to expect if they're going to do the Civics All Summer program. And then there is the Juneteenth Planning and Membership Drive micro session. All advisors and then ECs from the executive committees from every single branch want to join that micro session, because we have to be super strategized. We have to be super strategic about how we handle Juneteenth, because again, it is the largest membership time of year. If you're trying to grow your membership, you had a couple opportunities. You had Halloween. Well, of course, at Halloween, you're going to get people from all different type of backgrounds, but you're going to have a lot of youth there. You have the holidays, you have Christmas, but at the Christmas event, you're going to get people from all type of backgrounds. Of course, you have Black History Month, so you're going to get a lot of people during Black History Month as well. But the next biggest time, and people are in school during that time, spring break is during that time, so people go out of time. The next biggest time to really hone in on your membership, when everyone's out of school, everyone's out, is summertime. There's so many different Juneteenth events that happen around the valley. Juneteenth is absolutely going to be your biggest membership time of the year. So there's a micro session that tells you how to effectively plan for that event, what you want to prepare for that event, how many people you need there, how you need to tackle the event, what cities might be best to table at. Maybe it's a multi-city plan, and then what your goals and expectations should be. That's what that micro session is going to go over. So that's May for us. Mental Health Awareness Month focuses on planning for the summer, doing our quarterly meetup, mental health awareness, and then our regular meeting and finalizing our plans for the convention. Then we have summer break. So summer break, this is all through the summer, right? Here's a pink, so that's another session, because the youth summer internship, which is our Civics All Summer Work program that we partner with Phoenix at Work and the Greater Phoenix Urban League, or who knows, we may get our own grant for that next summer. But that program starts in the summer and it goes for a full 10 to maybe even 12 weeks in the summer, where youth ages 16, and hopefully next year to be 15, but ages 16 to 21 get an opportunity to work for 20 hours a week for $15 an hour doing civic work. So that's phone banking, that's doing surveys for election or for voters, that's doing voter registration. That's where we heavily mobilize in the summer and they get paid to do it, which is incredible. We also have two micro sessions. We're not doing any monthly meetings in the summer, but we do have some micro sessions. The first micro session is college options for everyone. There's a link on the link tree that I showed you with college for everyone options. And then there's a micro session with how to increase your membership and why it's important, which is in preparation of Juneteenth. And then, of course, we have three out of house events: the Juneteenth membership increase multi location tabling events, the ASU Rise Summer Leadership Camps for those of our youth that applied and got accepted for that. And then we have the National NAACP National Convention for our EC, our youth EC members, our advisors, the delegates that are going, and then any general members that would like to go as well. Big event. The goal next year is, I think this year when we went just alone, I was able to count 40 of us. I know there was more of us that went from Arizona. Next year we need to be 100 and 150 plus easily. So with strategic planning, we can do that. We absolutely can. But this is our calendar for the next year. This is what it looks like. This is what you should expect. We're starting in August. This goes all through the year. We start in September for our monthly meetings. Those end in May. And then we ramp up in August. And then we have our really super active summer. Of course, reach out to me and message me if you want to add anything to this calendar. If you have any suggestions, we can talk about that in our advisor meeting as well. Or just call me if you have any questions on the calendar in general.